Galapagos. Yeah, you want to go ahead and start broadcasting? All right, so we will not start our official meeting until we have a quorum here in person, but for lack of a quorum and for sake of time, we will allow our Galapagos, the students that went on the Galapagos trip, to give their presentation now, and then we'll cut to our regular meeting afterwards. So take it away.
That's all of you guys, right? Don't stand in front of the screen though, stand, over here. I'm just gonna be your slide clicker.
If you need to move, you can move.
I'll be your move over.
That's okay.
So you can see through them. They're sometimes taller than me.
Alright, so one of our classmates, Cameron, he outlined a lot of stuff for the trip, but he's on the track meet, so he can't be here. But we got ready every day. Every day was a little different from the day before. Some days it was rainy, some were really hot and sunny, or there were cloudy days that weren't as hot. So we would always put sunscreen on, and then put it in our bags. And depending on if we were swimming or not, we would pack extra coats. We would almost always pack raincoats in case of rain.
Real quick, let's just say we're going to officially start our meeting here at 6:04. Now that we have a quorum, go ahead and continue.
Okay.
In progress.
There was a lot of team building. We had different types of team building days. Some of the days we would kayak with friends, partners, or snorkel as a group. And one of the days we planted coffee bean trees at a little farm. And we learned how to help one another in different ways. On the mainland, which is before we actually went to the islands themselves, but our time in Quito might have been short, but it was still fun. We got to go ziplining through the mountains, go to a chocolate factory and learn how they made this special chocolate, and visit the official Ecuador museum. Then on our way back home, we stopped back in Quito to have a really quick dinner that was really good. The culture is different than ours. There's different ethnicities and jobs and foods. Each person there is always very polite and caring to visitors and tourists. There's very little crime on all the islands. They have specific places built just for the research stations on each island. That way they can find out new things and help keep all the islands in good pristine condition. This way, hopefully no species will fully go extinct like Formosa and George, the tortoise. Some of the highlights from our trip were the San Cristobal Island. We got to see the only fresh water on any of the islands, and it is in the crater of a dormant volcano, which is cool. On Santa Cruz, we got to swim in a little canyon, which was one of the best places that Cam swam in, according to him. And on Isabella, we got to swim with sea turtles and while snorkeling, and we also got to see a really big crater of a volcano. Alright. Cameron would look back on his trip in multiple different ways, in the good and in bad. The bad parts are only the fact that people are getting sunburned. That is a part of it.
Despite their best efforts to not.
You're on the equator,
Yeah,
right?
that sounds a little stronger down there.
And you're from New Hampshire.
Exactly.
The good is that we got to see things that we wouldn't be able to see anywhere else in the world. We will always look back on this, I think everyone will. And we'll be grateful that we got the chance to go because we learned a lot from just a little bit of time that was there. If we ever had the chance to go back, we will take it, or some of us probably definitely will, and hopefully bring our family with us.
Wants to read Kyle's slide.
Sure. We saw sea lions, sharks, turtles, tortoises, and penguins. We also ate a lot of new foods like empanadas and ceviche. He got a lot of souvenirs in Galapagos or Ecuadorian money. And he learned 100 days of Duolingo on his trip.
For those who don't know, Duolingo is a language learning app. Is Amelia stuff?
Okay. We saw the Sierra Negra volcano. We learned about giant tortoises. George. I made friends with a sea lion. His name is Sam. And the trip was amazing. However, the traveling was very long and exhausting.
So Kara said going to the Galapagos helped introduce her to new cultures and learn a lot from it. We were all able to help them reforest a farm and learn about certain plants. Listening to speakers around us helped us practice our Spanish. This is a great trip, and I hope that the school continues doing it.
We also met a dog named Carlos.
There was just a street dog, and all of a sudden it showed up, but everybody made friends. He was
Yeah.
cute.
He was cute.
When we went to the islands, it was nice because we got to experience a whole different types of food and culture combined and all that. And you were around native and Spanish speakers, which is something really improve your Spanish speaking, learning, like understanding. You could see like new animals and learn about how they got there and all. And in the end, we're all really grateful that we got to take this trip and all the memories we got from it.
That's my slide. Okay. I learned a lot about the endemic animals of the Galapagos. I learned about the Ecuadorian people and how they live differently and similar to us. And I was able to speak with native Spanish speakers all the time, which was really helpful in my, for me to learn Spanish.
Okay. While in the Galapagos, I got to learn a lot about the different habits and customs of the Ecuadorian people. I got to speak Spanish all day, every day, which helped me put more context to what we had learned in class. And I learned about and saw many new and different species of animals.
And the beach picture up on the top is that whole entire beach probably had 500 sea lions all going to bed at night, and they were like pigs in a bed, and they'd crawl over each other and they'd scream and yell. It was like, you can't picture it. Like, that picture just doesn't do it justice. It was a massive beach of sea lions.
I do have a video.
Do you? I think I do
in
too
my
as
drive.
well.
Yeah, I do have a video of that as
It's
well.
like you
in my
just,
drive.
it's massive.
In the Galapagos, Ethan experienced many new aspects of culture and gained an appreciation for those experiences. He was able to practice his Spanish with native speakers who were happy to direct and teach him further. And he learned a whole new way of life and was able to take away a better understanding of the world around him.
Marshall, he got to get out of the U.S. and it was his first time he was a black. He learned about many new foods, but he didn't try them. And he also learned many new facts about their local animals and how there are different animals on different islands. It was really good first time getting out of the country, and he would gladly go back there. The food was really good, and the snorkeling was really cool, and he saw many new fish and animals.
Get the sense he wants to get out of the country.
And you could only eat 3 different kinds of food on the islands. All they had was shrimp, fish, and chicken.
Right.
Yeah, shrimp, fish, and chicken. Every lunch and dinner was those 3 options on the island. There was nothing else. I think we ate
Pollo, pescado, o camarones.
Mm-hmm.
I love
all just served different ways.
On the islands, I got to see a ton of different animals and plants, and like how they got into the islands, or if they had went to different places in the world. Mainland, you got to see a ton of culture that you don't see much in the U.S. And it was a good way for many people, including myself, to practice their Spanish with talking to people who are native with the language. You know.
KJ. When we traveled to the islands, we got to see a wide variety of animals and terrain, different foods and different plants. KJ learned about coffee planting and making, the animals' diets and habitats, and the culture in Galapagos. Overall, KJ thought that this was a very delightful experience to have, and he would highly recommend this trip for future students.
So Anna said, in the Galapagos, I got to experience a lot of cool stuff, like snorkeling and new foods. While she was in the Galapagos, well, we were in the Galapagos, we learned about wildlife and the culture and how people strive off of tourism, which is a big thing. Overall, it was a great experience for me and all of us. And brought us out of our comfort zones She got to spend time with her friends while also learning about this beautiful place.
My experience in the Galapagos allowed me to learn about the culture and lifestyle of the people there. I learned about the wildlife that inhabits the islands and learned about some of the birds, including the blue-footed boobies, and I also learned that there are red-footed boobies. And the trip itself was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Each day was packed full of events that kept us busy each day, and one of my favorite parts was seeing there's a bunch of cows walking down the road today.
Alright, so I got to see lots of like really cool creatures, and like the places were like really pretty. And I even met some kids at this park at the beach and talked to them a little bit. They were like, yeah, they talked to me in Spanish and stuff. I learned lots of new information and like facts about the animals and like the chocolate and how it's made and endemic versus native species. I loved the trip. It was like really fun, and it was a great experience with new opportunities that I wouldn't normally do. Lots of new foods that were cool that I wouldn't usually try on my own probably. And it helped me like more so figure out what I wanted to do after high school more so. And it was just really cool, and I'd love to go back.
On the trip, Emily got to experience a lot of different culture and food and sort of like customs and stuff, and speaking Spanish with native speakers. And it was one of the best experiences, I think most of us would say, for our high school, in our high school, like career or whatever. And it was interesting, but to bring sunscreen.
And this picture here of Emily is trying a guava from one of the farms that we toured. So fresh from the farm, as we were walking through, they picked one right off the tree.
Just bring those back.
That's a cool picture of the latitude.
Okay, Maddie. The time we spent in the Galapagos was a once-in-a-lifetime experience that brought us to a better understanding of the culture and lifestyle in Ecuador. Going to the Galapagos made Maddie a lot more confident in her Spanish-speaking abilities. The trip to the Galapagos was an amazing time. Maddie said she grew closer with friends and people she didn't know, as well as having a fun time creating memories.
Okay, Sophia said in the Galapagos she experienced many new things and gained an appreciation for different cultures. She enhanced her understanding for speaking Spanish and learned a lot about the Galapagos lifestyle, and she is very thankful that she had the opportunity to go on the trip, and she will never forget it, and neither will I.
All right. And that is our presentation.
You guys okay if we ask a couple questions? Like, any questions from the board?
I mean, I think one of the things that would be really interesting to know, because it sounds like all of you would recommend that this is a trip that is considered again in the future. Knowing that this was an expensive trip, and you had to do a lot of work ahead of time in order to make this possible, is there anything that you would suggest that families or students know about in advance? You know, anything that you would do differently about that process?
I was like, what did I like? What food did I like the best? But no, that's a good question. That's a really
But
good
I think
question.
that we have already started having conversations, like planning 2 years ahead.
Yeah.
Their fundraising and whatnot got down their cost from what it was initially anticipated based on donations. I think overall, the trip value for what we got, the experiences of zip lining and sea lions and boat rides and just the culture, the immersion was really, it was worth the value of that trip.
Yeah, I think I agree. One of the big partnerships that we did in terms of fundraising was with the Hampshire Motor Speedway, and our volunteer staffing that we did, and that I think is a relationship that we want to continue with. It was a really great experience for the kids to volunteer the weekend of the race, but the way our kids held themselves and present themselves while volunteering got us invited back numerous other times for other events throughout the rest of the summer. Lily, I know you attended a lot of those with your family, and so can you speak to how much that helped you to?
Yeah, it did. It took a lot. Like it helped raise a lot of money for.
That's a good thing. Once you're in on that list, that's good. You want to stay on that list because
Yeah.
it's hard to get in. So that's awesome.
It did help a lot.
And not everybody had as much availability during the summer, but it was a huge help for those that did have the availability to participate. And they were very generous, even with days that we had rain or weather issues. We were still compensated for at least part of the time, which was really awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
The reason behind my question, of course, is that I know that for some families, some students, some families may say, this sounds like a great trip, I'd love to do it, but I can't devote all the money or the time for the fundraising. And so it's good to know that you guys would suggest that it is worth it in the end. Yeah. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions?
George, can I add to that?
Yeah.
And the fundraising did make a huge difference, like they were saying with the Speedway. Like when she first brought on the flyer, and we're like, I don't think that's gonna happen. But then when we saw how awesome it looked and the opportunity was gonna be, we were like, yeah, we're on board. And then I mean, with all the fundraising and everything, and we did go to a lot of those Speedway events and all that. It ended up being definitely for what they got was like it was a great deal, But
And the
it
bird
ended up
foundation.
being not nearly as much as we originally thought.
Yeah.
Like, way less than what.
We had a great donation from the Burn Foundation and other
Yeah.
things,
That's good.
Offset that cost.
I'm glad you're here as a parent to have the parent perspective because we're the writing the checks, right?
Yeah.
But that's awesome. And did any of you find, like, when you kind of go on trips like this, you're thrown together with other people from your school, did you build new friendships with people you wouldn't have thought of you build new friendships with, or like got to know some of your classmates or schoolmates differently? Cool. All right.
I'm curious, the first time out of country for you guys? Is that, no?
Yeah.
Almost everybody.
Almost first month, yeah.
Cool.
I'm curious if, when you were on the chocolate farms, did you learn anything? Because the chocolate industry kind of has a lot of weight behind it with human rights issues, and currently they're struggling with climate change issues. Like, did they talk at all about that when you guys were there? Sounds like they
More like, how do you make
Talk
chocolate?
about
Which
when
is
we went
fine.
to the chocolate factory. Talk about what they did there. It was a small farm. Talk about that.
Oh, cool.
Small farm.
Oh, that's
It
nice.
wasn't like huge. And like they did talk about like different flavors that naturally occur in the chocolate based on what plants they're planted next to.
Were they experiencing any trouble with like their plants due to climate change at all? That they mentioned?
so.
No?
Not there. A lot of the cultivation of the different plants for chocolate, for coffee, a lot of that has really been their focus lately, and they're kind of turning the tide in terms of their harvest in both mainland Ecuador and on the islands, and so they're really actually more so trying to bring more notoriety to what they're producing. They're not struggling in their production so much that now they can export more than import, and in the past a lot of stuff has been imported, and they're really kind of trying to close in that circle on their goods are staying there and sustaining and lowering those prices for all those involved in having that profit go back into the islands or back into Ecuador.
That's really nice.
And all the farms we visited they weren't just chocolate cocoa. They had pineapples. We learned where pineapples were. We had coconuts. Like they had fresh coconut one day. Like cut it, thing in the top. It was.
I mean, this
Taylor,
farm
how
that I
could
tried
you
the
live
guava, we went on about an hour-long walk throughout the entire farmland. It was the same farm where we did our coffee bean reforestation with the trees, which Lily has pictures of on her slide. And they were like pulling different fruits off trees left and right, and like, this is what this is, and try this, and bananas, and passion fruit, and papaya, and guava, and the coffee beans, and everything. Went to a bamboo forest at the same farm as part of their farm. Wow. It was crazy.
What was some food that you tried that you were like, I didn't think I was going to like this at all? And you tried and you're like, I love it.
Yeah.
Ceviche? I was good. I saw you it had ceviche. I was like, no way. That's awesome. That's great. Cool.
And we had two different kinds, right? We had shrimp ceviche, and you guys remember the other unique one that we had? Heart of palm
Whoa.
ceviche. Yeah.
Cool.
They were, I think, the aspect of the trip as supporters of the trip was we got to see these kids and their excitement and their energy, and it was like, okay, stop, don't look at me, you guys turn around. I think as adults, like, we experience things, and this was through their eyes, and the energy, and, you know, getting on a boat, and we're going from one boat, and the boat's rocking, and we're getting on another boat, and just learning, you know, it's American dollar there, but everything is driven by coins, so it's American coins. But just going through those processes, immigration, like through, as we sat back and we got to appreciate that, every day we're on the go. But like to take that through their lens, and you know, I laugh because we had meals all together, and we all sat with different kids, and you know, you experience the emotions of being away from home, but like getting to know them at a whole new level, although I did get told I needed to lighten up at the beginning of the trip, Hari.
I don't remember saying that.
Oh yeah, I did listen up though. But that was really one of the most exciting things for us. My favorite night was our last night when we walked out and we swam out through the mangrove, and then you went out to this open, because there's nothing deadly, nothing can kill you. There's sharks, but they didn't show any pictures of sharks, did they? It's white tip sharks, they won't hurt you. But we swam and snorkeled over sharks, and if you haven't seen the videos that we brought back, Marshall did use the GoPro, thanks to Craig. Those are streaming in the building. It's like incredible. But just those, going through those experiences, but that last night we swam out, and
It's like natural wave pool.
Natural wave pool, it's warm, the water's super warm, and all the kids are just, you can put your feet down, but you're just floating, just sitting there floating, and they're playing football, and it was just that camaraderie of the group, everybody got along, like, because we spent a lot of time together.
And lots of great reflection
Yeah.
happening every night. It's been really interesting for me as a teacher to watch their slides come in as they're typing things up, but I also had the privilege of reading their journals too that they kept in Spanish throughout the trip. It's not in the presentation, but I have a really fun picture from the night I gave them their journals, and it's just a really long table and everybody's head down in their journal, all the different colored journals, and to get these back and to see the thought put into it and all the different, you know, questions and answers. This one even has pictures, which is really fun, and to kind of hear and, like Tina said, see it through their eyes and what they experienced.
Lots of shrimp. Lots of shrimp.
That's awesome.
And it was really cool. I mean, Joaquin, he's only a sophomore, so we're already talking, and he speaks Spanish so well. He was a help for me. Sometimes I would get in line behind him. She spent since high school, since my Spanish. Rosetta Stone's not always that helpful. But like, they were excellent. They were, really worked through some things. Our guides were very fluent. I can't say enough about Andy and that we worked with. The two guys were so respectful with the students, just a wealth of knowledge. And they would go back and they would, talk Spanish, they would talk English, a lot of learning about the different animals, explaining it, really proud of their country. They're both from the islands, which was really, just for us, just to have that experience. And this is where they live, so you became extra respectful of it. I don't know if that makes sense, but for Joaquin, the opportunity, as we talk maybe 2 years down, be a leader on that trip. It was a very, very special experience. What was your favorite thing?
Yeah, probably snorkeling for me personally.
Which one? We snorkeled like multiple times.
I like the one with the shark.
You like the shark?
I did like the shark.
Awesome.
Well, that last snorkeling trip was really special because where we were able to snorkel with almost every single species we had snorkeled with in different spurts throughout the whole trip. You look left and there's a penguin. You look right and there's a sea lion diving into the water, and below you there's a turtle and a starfish and the white-tipped reef sharks and everything all in this one ecosystem.
And I didn't see. I missed a stingray, but there was a stingray there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just to have those, it It was epic.
It was
And-
that.
I was impressed by how many of you people said in their slides, like how often you're able to use Spanish, because, you know, we're like, oh, you're going to Galapagos, it's probably heavily English and all that, but a lot of you said you were able to use your Spanish, and how many of you were surprised at what came out of your mouth and it worked? Like, show your hands real quick, like, were you surprised when you spoke Spanish and it worked? Like, it's amazing when that happens, right? So that's so cool.
It didn't have that touristy feel.
No.
Good.
It was very wild. It really was. I didn't feel.
Untamed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know,
Well-
you walk into a couple of the trinket stores.
Right.
But overall, I mean, you know, there's a sea lion laying on the road, but it didn't feel built up touristy, you know. I shared. Oh, go ahead.
Who remembers what percentage of the islands in total, all of them, are open to humans? What percentage of the total landmass? Anybody?
They said it a million times.
3%. 3% of the entirety of the Galapagos Islands, everything else is protected national park.
That's awesome.
So I think that contributes to it not feeling touristy, like Craig said.
I would just add a couple
Yeah.
things from the cheap seats back here. In terms of value of the trip, when we were planning this up front, we looked really carefully because I was on the first trip, 5 years ago? And I was part of that itinerary. And that was a pretty difficult itinerary that we did 5 years ago. We looked really carefully. I can't say enough about this travel company and Andean, the support that they gave us every step of the way through this. We were well taken care of, both food, physically,
Yeah.
we were like, I mean, they emotionally took care of us. I mean,
They were great.
all the way
The
through.
guides were very interactive and checking in every day with me. We would chat at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, and set
Like
the
we
agenda
changed
for the next day.
we changed the plan one day. And they
Yep.
were like,
There was one item on the itinerary that a lot of kids were like, I don't know, like mountain bike riding on these unpaved trails, and it's the last day of the trip, and I'm hot and exhausted and sunburned. Sangria, I don't know how I feel about that anymore. And so, you know, they said, okay, well, we can change and we can go do this instead, and that's how we ended up at the
we didn't
wave
do a
pool.
9-mile hike around the volcano that day.
All
You
right.
know?
Right, we hiked up to the rim, and we stopped there,
It's up there, yeah.
hung out, and hiked back down. They were really great. I set the dinner time every night for the group. So for those that aren't familiar with Spanish country culture, most of the time they eat dinner really late at night. I'm talking 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's custom for them. So our first dinner was pretty late. And then once we got out to the islands, when we weren't really beholden to our travel times, like flight times and things, they were like, what time do you want to eat?
Oh, that's
And I went, oh, this is a planned trip, but I get to, when I'm already here, set the time that we get to eat. Cool. So we ate at 6 or 6:30 every night, a more normal dinner time for our custom, which was really nice that they're that accommodating to what we need.
And
The
from
other
our
point I
perspective-
wanted to make is when we were getting dropped off at the airport, before we took the red eye home, the last thing that they said to us when they dropped us off is, if there's one message that you can bring back to the States, is let people know that we are a peaceful people, we are a safe country. There was no time where we ever felt in a sketchy situation. We were always safe, we were always well taken care of, and I would certainly, in any way, this is such a unique experience. There's maybe a couple of high schools in New England that maybe do this, but this is such a unique experience. I would highly encourage this become, in some way, it lives on for another 2 years, and it goes on, and that this is something that sort of makes its way through, and we tease out the fundraising pieces, and because it is such a once-in-a-lifetime experience for kids to be in this kind of an environment that is so clearly not in any way. It probably took everybody a couple of weeks to process after they came back and said, did we really just do that in 10 days? It was pretty intense. But anyway, that was from my, like...
The only thing I would change is our trip home.
Yeah,
That was hard.
That was a lot. That was hard.
long
That was straight out. Over 24 hours straight of travel, plus to water taxi to water ferry to water taxi to bus to boat to bus to boat to plane to boat to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
One meal in between.
That's the only thing I would change. What would you guys change?
Yeah,
That-
just the trip.
yeah.
Yeah, honestly, just the trip home.
It was hard.
No cell phones on the plane so they can't take pictures of adults sleeping. That would be the only thing.
Props to Delta for getting us out
No.
when they got us out, because every other airline that day
Oh, yeah.
had rolling delays
Yes.
and
Yep.
cancellation.
Yep.
And
Right.
Delta was busting their
Delta's
Yeah.
fast. Delta's
Yes,
So-
and they got us out of there.
Yeah, we changed our itinerary from JetBlue to Delta during the planning process, and Chris and I were laughing at ourselves, thank goodness that we did the entire time, because like he just said, both our flight to Ecuador and what would have been our flight out of Ecuador, had we stuck with JetBlue, everything was delayed both
Ugh.
ways. So we really picked the right flight itinerary.
Good choice.
Running through airports because we were a little late.
Yeah.
Somehow we managed it in 1 hour through customs. We
Wow.
got from
At like
Yeah,
6
we-
a.m. too. Don't forget that one.
Yeah, we made it to our gate as they started boarding in Atlanta for our last flight, but we
Alright.
made it. And we made it home with every bag but one. The
yeah.
last bag came home the next day.
All right.
But, hey,
All right.
you
And
know
the
what?
biggest message they would say is, Taylor, what was the biggest message you would say? Sunblock.
Yeah.
That is no joke.
No joke.
If you run out, borrow someone else's, bring as much as you possibly can. Do not have a 50-pound suitcase because then you have to distribute your stuff.
That was you.
That was
And
me.
some
kids have to take
yeah,
their shoes.
some kids have to split up their shoes and bring them.
Bringing the principal's shoes.
That's happened to you.
Oh, I had possession of Tina's hairdryer the entire time.
And don't think you don't need a hairdryer. That's serious.
No one else-
No,
no
we did
one
it all
else
the time.
did.
We dry bathing
All the
suits,
adults
clothes.
did. Stop judging me. We already discussed this.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah.
Chris, last thing
Yes.
is thank you to like all the parents.
Yes.
Parents were awesome, all the way from the planning stage of this, all the way through. Like, we need to have a meeting next Wednesday in the library, you need to be, people showed up.
Yeah.
Every
And as
meeting.
we rolled
Yeah.
through, like, all the stuff that happened leading up to this, having to talk about travel alerts and embassies and, you know, trying to tease all of that out. Parents were just awesome, and then they just were with us every step of the way, and,
Ready to help with whatever they could. We had one parent
everything,
gave
donating
us
for.
matching luggage straps
Yes, it
for
was
all of
great.
the bags at the last minute. And they showed up
Aw.
the day before the trip. And she said, "Here, take these."
Yeah, that
it
way you
it was
find-
great, and that was super helpful. They're bright lime green
Perfect.
to identify all of our bags every time we get off the plane. Boom, that's ours. Even if it wasn't your bag,
Right.
somebody can grab it. We can start counting bags.
And really, as the principal of the school, students really represented Mascoma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When we told them to be up for breakfast, they got up for breakfast. If they didn't, then I checked on them. That only happened once. But overall, like, if we said to be somewhere, we had to be with the group. They really represented Mascoma, and it made me really proud. Everywhere we went, they were appropriate. They, there was any time that we needed to be snorkeling. They were safe. Hiking mountains, they stayed on the trail. The entire group was exceptionally well behaved, and it was a blast because of that. We didn't have to manage behavior. We just got to enjoy the trip with the kids, and that's expectations from the parents, and these guys really recognizing who they are and what they represent. That made us really proud. It made us enjoy the trip a lot more.
That perfect number of kids to go and a perfect number of staff to go was great.
Yeah.
Well, that makes us feel good to hear that you guys represented your town and your school district and your community well. That's awesome. That's
And a lot of
what
people
we
say, "Where are you from?" And we ran into a few people like from the States, and they were like, "Where are you from?" And they would be like, someone said Canaan, and they're like, "Huh?" And they were like, "New Hampshire," and they're like, "Huh?" They were like, "New England." Like they were like trying to expand it. We ran into a couple. I think we were getting on San Cristobal, and they were from like Maine, and it was really cool. We ended up running into them a few different times, but it was cool that for their perspective to realize, we're just here and all of the big parts of where we were going and what we were doing.
Cool. Anything else from the board for them? Anything, last words you guys want to say?
I do recommend you guys looking at the photos. We're trying to queue one up here. How are we doing, Amanda?
Well, we're about 5 minutes out, so.
Maybe
We're
like in
5
one of
minutes
the
to do
district
some
newsletters, we can like link it to a photo album or something? Or-
Yeah, there's some great video.
Yeah.
Videos?
Where Marshall's about 5 minutes out before he's here, so if you
Oh.
want to wait
Yeah, so
or go.
Marshall had the GoPro, and a lot of these images are from that GoPro. Marshall can swim deep. Some of these pictures, like he can swim. Not everybody can swim well, but he really can swim well and get right down. And you know, you'd have sea lions and turtles. Our guides also had GoPros. One of our guides did, and
Oh, I have his in my drive now, and
you
his
do.
videos are
I have,
incredible.
yeah. I've been stealing stuff off his Instagram.
Is this going in the newsletter?
Well, so there has been a running blog that we've got
Yeah.
some photos on, and we did talk about maybe putting together, because I'd like to keep some of this stuff going. There's just some great photographs and videos.
I think I have over 2,000
And
pictures.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
And trying to get them up into the
Yeah.
drive has been,
It
yeah, I got it.
really shouldn't be,
Yeah.
put away, not be seen.
Yeah.
As long as possible.
I mean-
in different formats
You
and
don't want to drive
venues.
And honestly, I think that the deck might also be something that, that could be public. It doesn't have last names. I mean, they're photos that are probably within the drive itself, you know, so when you think about the aspect of reflection, about your experience, I think that would be great to have out there for people to explore as well.
Yeah, there are some great photos and videos they did.
Cool. Yeah, what you got there, Seth? What's
It's a sea
underwater
turtle.
here?
This will blow
This is
your
the one
mind.
that was going in the lobby and cafe.
Nice. Oh man, yeah, loop this
This
stuff
isn't
on
a
there.
fish tank.
This is
It's
real.
an aquarium. It's in the middle of the ocean.
Was that, that must have
Marshall
been
got this?
Isabella. That must have been
Yeah.
Isabella.
Who
Yeah.
took these videos, do you know?
I don't
Yeah,
know all of them.
I think it's a combination of Marty and the guide.
This is Mashi.
Yeah. That was the only freshwater lake.
That's the
With the
volcano crater.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, this was the small one that had the lake in the middle, and then on the last island, we went to the huge,
Good.
the huge dormant volcano where we had the
Yeah.
panoramic
Thank you.
picture.
It's great.
Yeah.
And a lot of birds with salt on their feathers would go to the freshwater lake, they turn the salt off and go back.
Nice. What do they do for water?
Oh, it's
Bottle.
super fun.
Do not drink it.
Don't drink it. Everywhere you go, they have big tubs of water because they do have their filtration system for some of their stuff, but you cannot drink any water.
So all bottled or
All-
pre-packaged.
Yeah, well, they have
That's what
big,
Marty
huge water
Nash
jugs. And you actually see the ships that go to the islands, they unload the water things, these massive water, I don't know, what do you call them?
Cisterns.
Yeah, sure. It was huge, and they put them on shore, and they fill up all these like big, what we call water, and just everywhere you go, you can just fill it up for free.
Wow.
Yeah, so you walk out.
Those are the
down
sharks.
on almost every floor in all the hotels. We're down in the lobby, and so you just bring your water bottle down and refill it however many times all day.
You
every
could drink
day.
that though. That you could drink.
That you
Yes.
can,
Okay,
yes,
all right.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
yes,
You
that you
can't
can drink.
brush your teeth with their water.
And you would fill up your water bottle
Yeah.
and brush your teeth with that same thing. That's one thing that I might do. When I went to Nicaragua when I was in high school, my Spanish teacher and interact advisor, she gave us all toothbrushes with like one of the little toothbrush caps and a little Ziploc and tied it to a water bottle and gave it to us as like a pre-trip thing. And that was that reminder of like, hey, Red, stop, don't brush your teeth with the faucet water. You know, those kinds of things. You'd brush it with whatever they gave you for filtered water. What was really nice was even on mainland Ecuador, in our bus the first 2 days, they had a water jug in the bus. So when we went to the cloud forest to go zip lining, we had water with us all day because they didn't have water there. The other days when we took trips, we were back at the hotels intermittently throughout the day to change, refresh, get into swim gear, pick up whatever stuff you needed to pick up. And so you had that opportunity to refill your water. You could refill it at the restaurant for lunch. Not as much with how far out from the city we were going in mainland Ecuador, so it was really beneficial to have that on the bus. And that was something that Chris and I really made sure with the travel company we were going to have that access to. Because I know that was a concern of his after the last trip, was access to drinkable water.
Yeah, for sure. Nobody found out the hard way though.
No.
Good.
Well,
Good.
We think that some 8 things that we already knew, but they sort of didn't know there might be gluten in it, like in their granola. So that made them, but overall, like,
They had dietary options for any of our kids that had, anything.
Lactose intolerant.
Dietary, you know, shellfish allergy, that was one that was interesting to navigate at times.
Yeah.
But they did a really great job as best as they could to offer substitutions. And every time we took orders for the meals, so I took orders for every single person for every single meal. We had multiple options for appetizers, for entrees, for desserts. So the guy would hand me his phone, it had the whole menu at the top in Spanish, and I would just go up to the kids, and if they didn't know something, I would translate it for them, and I would ask them what they want, and I'd type it in, and we'd make all of our orders, usually 2 or 3 meals in advance. So Monday night, we were taking an order for Tuesday's lunch to give the restaurants enough time, but they really catered to all of our dietary needs.
Cool.
This almost seems like an interdisciplinary trip between
Sure. Yeah.
Spanish and science.
It is,
Yeah.
but the numbers is what
Yeah,
matters.
entry points, there's multiple entry points.
Yeah,
You
I mean-
have Spanish, you have
I
science.
mean, that
you
might be a
have-
really nice combination to open it up.
But you can, the perfect number of kids to bring, this was a great number. We had what, 17?
17,
17,
yeah, so, and I think
is-
even if we had gone ahead with that 18th spot, if somebody had been able to fill it, that would have been okay as well. There's something to be said
Yeah.
about having an even number of kids in terms of how many times we had to partner off for different things, like duo kayak, things
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Count by twos.
Yes, well, and everybody had a number, right? And we counted off in Espanol every time we got back together somewhere to make sure we had everybody ready to leave, ready to roll in the bus. Shouting it really early in the morning.
Yep. All right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. It's very nice.
It's quick. I'm just gonna open it up because we have public comment. Dan, do you have any questions?
I'm
or anything
good,
like that?
thank you.
You're good? Okay. All right. You know, just want to offer to make sure you have a chance. Yeah, are we waiting for Marshall to bring anything?
And Craig does have one other video, a sea lion video that's pretty powerful, but
We can
he's got to
interrupt
figure
it
out a way
whenever.
to get it on there. It's extremely beautiful. You can ask Craig.
It's
he'll
like
describe it.
moving. It's not. Okay.
Oh, it's moving.
Very cool. All right. Cool. I think you're all set. Then. You're great. You're good to go. Unless you want to stick around and see if you can get that up. Do you want to see? Is he trying to get it
Craig's
up?
working on it.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm gonna go ahead and sign.
Okay. Do you want to just keep going with the rest of the meeting and then
I think
step
so.
back in? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. So we'll we just cut into this first. So we'll go back to approval of minutes from April 23rd. Thank you, everybody.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes, public and non-public, of April 23rd.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It says the call to order at 7:20. Is that supposed to be 6:20?
Yeah, probably supposed to be 6:20.
Oh, we need a second.
Oh, who would like to second the minutes motion? All right, Hope seconds. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, that's probably supposed to be 6:20.
I think that was non-public, so that's why it
Oh.
says 7:20.
That's
The non-public meeting.
It's on the first.
No, the call to order for is 6:01. Those are not
Yeah,
public.
just look right at the top.
We look up here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So the public meeting was okay? Okay.
Yep.
all right. I don't know why it's not letting me open my minutes. All right. That's all right. Yeah. Anyone else see anything? Oh yeah, that's the non-public one. I can see what's confusing. All right, cool. Anyone see anything on here? All right. All those in favor of approving minutes, public and non-public, of April 23rd, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right. Public comment. Anything else for right now, or take it later?
I'm good.
All right. Up next, we have for continuing business. Our student representative is at a track meet, I believe, or at something else, softball game probably. You have her report in your packets. Just gave you updates on what's happening here at the high school. Did some testing. All the AP testing's over. Art show. It says the high school, the middle school at the high school here on the 17th. Prom's coming up. Graduation. They're going to do the walkthroughs. Scholarship and Awards Night does start on the June 9th at 4 p.m. So we had planned our board retreat right up to that point, so like noon to 3 or whatever we said. And so we'll be able to attend that. And it looks like they have accepted the matching gift
matching class gift of lilac bushes, so we will talk to them about that. I did just print up like an actual written proposal. If anyone has any objections or if I wrote anything poorly or wrong, tell me and I'll fix it. But then I just wanted to have something in writing that she could take to her class. But that's her report. Any questions, comments?
Do we know if any of the
Yeah,
do we know if any of the elementary artwork will also be there at the same time?
I do not believe so, or yes?
No, I have reached out, presently the art teacher is at EVS, and as I understand it, they were not able to participate this year. It's clearly something that we want to have happen moving forward, so I did follow up with an email already, but middle school is definitely going to be represented, as well as our computer science. Their 3D printings are also going to be represented in the art show. So.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a concert at 7 o'clock right after that. So that's and all seniors and all that sort of thing. Yeah, no, that's disappointing because normally it's a district-wide art show.
Yeah.
And I remember when my kids were in elementary school, it was a big deal to go to it. And like we had it at the Canaan Meeting House, it was packed out, and it was a big deal. So I'd like to see getting us back to that. Elementary is a big part of the art show. So
yes, that wasn't for.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll work on it. All right. Anything else for student reps report? All right. So we had finance and facilities. I was not able to go to that meeting, but Hope and Kathleen were there. Hope, do you want to just give a quick rundown?
Yeah, sure. The first thing we really discussed was the fact that I think the intention was to get both EVS and CES, the HVAC projects, finished before the ESSER funds. But however, when they looked at EVS, they ran into a problem with the wall layout in the building itself. So they are not going to be able to get the building portion of it done, but they have contracted or spoken to Johnson Controls, and they should be able to get the gym portion done. I think CES is, there's no changes to that part of the project. I think there are, the overall struggle always is seeming to get, contractors and the timing of this. So that is, we're kind of really working on that. And the CES and EVS roofing project bids came in higher. And the skylight phase came in lower. So that's good. Maybe
that'll wash out.
Yeah. Nothing new in the audit. So basically the budget, it was looking like it was pretty much where it should be at this time of the year. That they're going to be retaining $375K for warrant articles and utilizing the 5% rule for another $500,000. And their safety projects going to be happening this summer in addition that are in the budget. That was about it.
Cool.
Oh, there were some cafe services has been purchased by somebody else. Partners Group, Culinary Group, which is an ownership change for that. But nothing changing for us. So.
Looks like there's a second page. I had seen it
in
the digital package, not in the prints. I think that was the second page had stuff about the driver's ed.
I got it right here. So it has transportation. We received a $6,700 credit from Butler's for missed routes, but it was not clear how they determined that amount. So maybe we'll figure that out. But the new contract starts on July 1st. And it's much more aligned with our needs for buses and vans, so we should see a much more realistic reflection of that, as well as the computerized routes or the computer model routes, which hopefully will be a little better, and then stop consolidation. Driver's ed, $12,000 loss for the year. That's to be expected. However, we will finish out the driver's ed program over the summer with Philip Green, and then Street Smart Driving is going to take over in the fall. They're the ones that work out of Hanover. They're not going to work out of here, so that should take care of that, and we'll hopefully sell one of our cars. We might be able to sell one of our cars to Street Smart, and then keep the newer car for the district to use for things. But yeah, that's all. So you guys talked about a policy that covers old policies. So we'll get to that later.
Cool.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I didn't even
No, no, I'm you're on the page. All right. Yes.
Do we want to let?
Oh yeah, Marcia. Yeah. Did you want to show your?
Nice, yeah, we queued it up, a
All
couple
right.
of videos.
And then we can do Craig, give the intro
Okay.
to this.
Yeah, so Marty,
Up here, all the way up
is
there, right in
a-
the front. for
Marty
everyone.
is a budding underwater filmographer.
That's really, you never know when you find your calling.
And I will say, one of these sea lion pictures I use, I'm joking a little bit, not really. I find it very therapeutic. It's very. Now, I said earlier it's not touristy, and you don't feel that. It's very wild, but I think these sea lions have obviously seen us before.
Yeah.
And they know we exist.
Bonded?
And
Yeah.
so, but the way he captured this, though, and well, I can let him explain the mood of it. You watch it. Maybe you should even narrate over it. Just let it show and then talk about it because it's therapeutic. I think I've watched it 100 times. It would have gone viral if you would put it on YouTube. And Seth is going to fire that right up.
So these have been streaming in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Is that helping with the overall?
Oh, the communism? Yeah.
All right.
And again, there are several minutes of videos. These are a couple clips.
Oh, wow.
Very curious.
It is hypnotic.
Oh.
Was that the Deepwater day? Did we get to ride back on the boat?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think we done anything else.
Right, that was the one that was like right with us.
Showing you was
Wow.
belly.
So we kayaked out there for this experience?
Or you're not allowed to pass on.
So is
No,
so
you
in
can't touch
Galapagos,
anything.
there was never predation.
No.
So these animals are.
There's no snakes, like bad snakes. There's no bad spiders.
Right,
There's
so
no
that's
bad
why they're
sharks.
super extra friendly, isn't that?
Rinsing order. I love this right here. Oh,
I don't have a hard time not cutting them.
Oh, they would come up on your face, like just happened, that's not far off Marshall. You want. It's real, or they're like,
Isn't that just crazy, beautiful?
This is cool.
It's fantastic.
next time we go, more
I mean,
GoPros.
Tim's in a
More
trance right
GoPros.
now.
I am.
Tim,
Very
somebody
hypnotic.
snap their fingers.
Very, very cool.
Isn't that unbelievable? There's another one too, right?
You
Is that
can't
go to there?
turn away. It's really fast.
Maybe another 4 hours stuff.
Yeah, definitely share this out in the community, links in our newsletters and whatever we can do.
Isn't it just, look at that.
Chilling.
You
And
can
that's
go ahead.
regular speed?
So Marty, what you see when you did this? What took you over? What your lens, your focal length? What happened?
I just kind of thought to myself, I should probably record this.
Good point.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
But it does take an eye though, right? Not everybody can see certain things, and that's why, a lot of the photographs the kids took.
So that was slow motion.
Oh yeah.
That's how fast they really swim.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
so
Tina was
cool.
swimming by at that point. Let's get out of here. Oh, this
10
is my-
days was too long, Craig.
I
10
think
days
this
was
is
too
my
long.
favorite one now, I think.
Oh.
Can't remember. They'll maybe both are.
How cute.
Did they bump into you?
So the other one was the best.
That's
one.
good.
They don't actually run into you.
No, they
No,
like
they'll
come
let you touch
really
them,
close,
but
but they like wouldn't.
They're playing chicken, yeah. That's
Yeah,
good.
they wouldn't. You couldn't touch them.
Yeah.
Well, you could reach down, touch it, but they wouldn't like hit you. They
That's
would, like
cool.
come right up to you, And at one point, like our guide, he went down like way deep in that deep water, and he was just blowing bubbles to them, and they'd like swim through them and stuff, and it was pretty cool.
You
like
had that
make
video,
noises from
and I
the
thought
boat.
that one was that video, because it's pretty cool. The seal goes by and blows up the, but it's similar to what you see in the same kind of.
That's so cool. Thanks for sharing that.
But you saw the colored fish too. You
Yeah.
got pictures of, I don't know what the small ones are called.
I don't know.
Just schools, multiple schools
Yeah.
of different kinds of parakeet fish, zebra fish, tropical, like a tropical fish tank you buy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you can see. So we've got photos and images of that. That's just spectacular, right?
That's
there.
cool.
That just gets me every time.
I mean, it'd be really cool just to have like an ongoing, like those frames that you get where you just continually.
Yeah.
So we could just.
We can make that like a
add that.
screensaver.
Just have it here when it's nobody's.
No, and that's why I say we should do more, whatever we can to extend
Yeah.
showcasing these photos and images, because in this thousands, right? I mean, this is I don't know what other kids even have. Do you know, did they have underwater experiences, or did they not?
I think like some people have like little like bags they put their phones in. I think
But not
they
the
do.
same.
But like I didn't see anybody else with a GoPro, so I'm
glad you brought it.
Yeah, we've got some really cool zip lining photos in the cloud forest. I mean, not as cool as this, but
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, any way we can share this out is awesome. Show what our kids are doing.
Other trips too.
Yeah.
You know, there's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Marshall, what were some of the favorite things that you did while on the trip?
The zip line was pretty fun. They said it was supposed to rain, so I wore a raincoat, and it didn't rain, and I got really hot in it. So I was like, bummer, but I could put the GoPro in my pocket.
Yeah.
But the scary part was when I was like zip lining, I was like straight down to the ground. So I was like, that was the GoPro.
but you got a couple really cool images that we're shooting through the forest and the trees going right by.
And that was day one, so if he lost the GoPro, that
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said, this is the first day.
Yeah.
Just like one more day.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, a lot of good stuff. A lot of really good, it's great stuff.
All right.
Pretty cool.
Thank you. Thanks Yeah. for bringing that out. Yeah. Anyway, we can share that. It's awesome. All right. Thank you.
Get a ride home?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that in, Mark. All right, so I jumped over communications committee. So Danielle, go ahead and give us an update on communications committee.
Sure, you've got some notes in your packet.
Wait, was I on? I didn't think I was supposed to be on this committee, was I?
No,
my
you're
name's
not.
on there as absent, so I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no,
I don't think you are.
I think Vicky, it's supposed to be Vicky.
Yeah, and she was there.
She was there.
She
Okay.
was there.
All right, well, okay. I I just saw my name on it. And was
These
like,
are, it says draft.
I know who takes these minutes.
So,
It's okay.
we're gonna have to give her 1,000
No, I
lashes
really
with
thought I got
wet
put on
noodle.
the committee and forgot.
Yeah, no, you're good.
All
You're
right.
good. We will work more on the website. That will be future consideration moving forward for this next year. We don't really have to do anything with the sign right now, but we're gathering that information so that if the big sign at the bottom of the hill goes out as it approaches the end of its natural life, then we will have plans in place.
It is glitching now, just so
It's
you
glitching.
know.
Yeah,
I thought I've seen some funny things on it.
Yeah.
So we know that that is coming and just trying to be prepared and mindful of that. And then we had a great presentation by Seth with an overview of some of the stuff that the AV Club has been doing, and that was really wonderful just to see the way that the high school students and middle school students are working together, going into the elementary classrooms, and really coming out with putting out some deliverables that are going to be helpful in telling the stories of this district. So that was a great way to link both kind of the curricular and the co-curricular aspects of how kids learn.
Cool.
So that was really wonderful. And in talking about kind of like opportunities that it opens up for not only skills building, but also future career and higher education interests that they have. So that was great. We did talk about committee goals, and we didn't get a chance really to talk much about looking at the strategic plan, but that is something that we'll end up doing over the course of the next little bit, comparing our goals to the strategic plan, and we've set up our dates. We did change the dates of our meeting. Bless you. They will now be on the first Tuesday of the month.
Cool.
So that way we'll be able to have all of our people there.
Yay,
That we need. You're welcome. And as the first Tuesday of the month, it won't conflict with these meetings. So we'll just be super excited to see each other every Tuesday as a standing date. If you want to fill something in for the fourth Tuesday, let me know. Maybe we'll have a dinner club or something.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll have a book journal. Or
Book club.
something. Yeah, book club. Yeah.
Cool. Hey.
Yeah. No.
All right. Any questions for Danielle on that?
I just imagine whenever they do come up with a plan for the sign, they'll bring it to finance facilities to actually talk, like, you can get to it. But like this, I get this part, you're doing the technical aspect.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Up next, we have EIC.
That would be me.
Let's hope again, all right.
We talked about a bunch of things. They were all wonderful. We had a presentation from Tina and Eric Ramaj, the counselor, on the SAT prep program that's been pretty well rolled out at the high school at this point. It seems like everything is going really well. They're working kind of out the kinks, I think, as far as using the wind block and looking at strategies to not impact that so much. And I think that's the biggest thing maybe for next year, but they had really great results and participation and with Khan Academy.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
it went really, that was really fun to hear that. We also looked at the dyslexia district plan, which had a very big revamp in terms of going through the whole plan and just to meet the requirements of the new state law. That was that. And we looked at some policies. And then we also realized at the very end that we had forgotten to put reassessing our goals and looking at that. We thought we would be meeting before the next for the school board retreat. But so Angel was going to. I was, really wanting to get feedback from principals and teachers, and so there was going to be a survey put out, I think this week or next week, so that we'll get some feedback and relook at them for next year. That's it.
All right. Any questions for Hope on that? Okay, I said you did some policy work on IKC. You're going to bring it to a bigger discussion with more input in the high school and stuff.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, that was another one we felt like we need input.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
When you do that, Tina, let's talk because I have some input. But first-hand knowledge, my daughter's a salutatorian this year, so
I know.
She's very proud. So I would love to talk to you some more about that at some point, just her experience. So that's all.
I do see in here under other that the thought that the annual report should include a short report from each committee.
Yeah, we talked very briefly about that.
Yeah, I think that's something we can put in the communications.
I was going to say that, but I thought.
Yep.
I agree.
So we'll add it in,
agree.
not for the June agenda, but we'll give it a little time to marinate. So we'll add that to
or just
to maybe the August or October
conversation. Around it.
Yeah. But I think it's a good idea because it reminds people that these business meetings aren't the only thing that we're doing to discuss and improve
publicly,
the opportunities.
Open.
Yeah.
Portions of the school boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else for Hope for that? Okay. Cool. All right. Next we have co-curricular committee. Danielle.
Yes.
Take that away.
Yeah, so we had a good short conversation about a number of different things. One of which was related to having a student representative at meeting, and we'd like to see, even if it's a rotating member, we'd like to see that become part of what SALT does, having a representative. That seems to make the most sense for this sort of thing, but just as we've talked about here, having a student voice or being able to ask questions and just giving them an opportunity to have input is something that's important to us as a board, so we wanted to encourage that. We got some info from Mr. Stebbins about the numbers for the spring, and again, good involvement, success all around in different programs. We didn't get one from IRS, so hopefully we'll be able to do that sometime soon. It'd be nice to have one for we won't meet again until September, so having something at the before that September meeting would be great. Mr. Libero, maybe you could bring that back. We talked about the strategic plan, and again, linking up the things that are making sure that we're tracking on the strategic plan where there is some overlap with co-curricular committee. So that'll be something that we work on as we move forward. We did also talk about a specific kind of need that has come up as far as a practice area for outdoor track and field, having an asphalt surface so that our students, even though they don't have an actual track, will at least have some component of that so that they are better prepared. They're doing great even without having a track, but there are some, it's not related to performance in competition. It really is more in line with some safety and equipment needs, especially as it relates to newer things that we haven't really been able to do as much of, like pole vault.
Yeah.
So we started talking about some ways in which we could work together on trying to make that happen as a shorter term and perhaps more attainable goal than a full track.
Yeah, start somewhere, right? No, that's good. It's hard to practice hurdles in the parking lot. So, and we don't want our kids running in the parking lot either, so that's not great.
So we'll meet again in September.
Cool. Any questions for Danielle on that?
Are they keeping track of the participation? I remember before COVID, we sort of started that.
Yes,
They're
they're
being followed.
Because both IRS and the high school use an online form now, I think it's easier to pull reports and to see where.
But even the other,
as far as the other co-curricular programs,
Steve, you keep a running total. I've seen multiple emails from Steve asking all the clubs and activities for enrollment and for updates on what they're doing. So
that's very helpful to find out which clubs are being utilized and which ones maybe aren't, which ones maybe are meeting a lot, which ones maybe are not meeting so much, which ones are stipended, which ones are not. How do we help kids start new clubs that they want to start? So maybe we could look at more of that as we get to the budget season. I have some ideas, give a trial stipend if someone wants to try a club. Try that out, stuff like that.
We can add this to the September 12th co-curricular meeting agenda.
That would be a good time to do it.
we will also be reviewing the stipends, right? That's in the collective bargaining agreement that we have to look at the stipends along with the union. So at that time, we will be looking at enrollment numbers. And if there's not sufficient enrollment in a club, that just simply, shouldn't be a stipend anymore. We should be opening up to advisors for groups and clubs that have a lot of interest. Right. So things change with the interests of our students, and we want to be fluid as we move forward with that.
I would also look at clubs that maybe do have decent attendance but don't meet hardly ever, and we still stipend them out like that, like ones that maybe go off every 2 or 3 months and do something. You know what I'm saying? They don't meet weekly because there's a some clubs meet every week and that teacher gets the same stipend as a club that only does something every 3 months and only meets every 3 months. You know what I'm saying? So we can look at all that.
And one thing that the data.
Yeah, we need the data. That's the thing.
So thank you for bringing that up. We'll add that to that agenda. One thing that we didn't talk about last week, but I'm just now thinking of it, and because Tina's here, we put her on the spot. Sorry. Last year there was the student activities fair.
It's happening.
It's happening.
Great. So it's actually going to be on June 13th in the afternoon. IRS 8th graders are coming over for Step Up Day. At that time, we are having the club fair. Steve's already pulled that together this year. Steve picked it up. Business group that wasn't their thing this year, but Steve has put that together. We've already set the times for Step Up, so high school and middle school will get to participate and see all the club offerings, which is, as you know, it's pretty impressive, even for people that just run clubs just for our students without a stipend. So that is happening and is taking place.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for co-curricular? All right, up next we got superintendent's report. Amanda, take it away.
So you do have my written report in the packet. You will see that I start off that recently we have had a few unexpected resignations And that being said, the administration here at all of our buildings is working very hard to find the best candidates that we have to fill those spots. So we are optimistic that we will be able to fill those. And, you know, I have to say that this candidate pool is the best that I have seen in years, right? We are just seeing people excited about teaching, moving here from different regions. The Mascoma name and reputation is out there. So we are seeing that. You will see a lot of nominations in non-public today, filling many slots, and even more will be filled. We're cleaning up, getting proper references. The administration does a wonderful job of making sure that the people that we put in front of our kids to teach are well vetted and well suited for the job. So we will be moving forward with a lot of hiring in this meeting and in the next. Once again, we are looking for people to drive buses and vans. Anybody that wants to drive themselves to work, we would love to have you drive yourself here to the high school or to one of our schools, work as a para for us, and then drive yourself and some kids home. Sounds like a great deal to me.
Can I bring my kids on the bus with me if I'm a parent?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's great. That's
Absolutely. Speaking of buses, we are working now to make sure that TransFinder, which will be the routing software, will mesh with Alma. So Kamala is spearheading the upgrade and updating of the potential stops for next year and working with butlers to make sure that the data that goes into TransFinder is good, solid data for what we need. Because, you know, the computer system can only create what, you know, a quality product with solid information. So Kamala is working on making sure that is taken care of. And once again, if you're interested, and thank you to Dawn, she sent someone towards IRS. If you know people who are interested in jobs, send them our way. We are happy to bring them in for some interviews.
all right. Any questions for Amanda?
Hang in there.
Yeah.
We're actually in very good shape.
No, it's good. Then in the electric packet, as I said, this thing about the lilac bushes is in. Martha just put it into the packet after the superintendent's report. So we'll work on that this summer. You have the financials in your packets. Any questions on those? And capital reserve fund report, and that's in there as well. We're looking good. We will spend down some of these, especially facilities. So, skip the board photo. Board retreat date. We have that set for June 9th.
Yes.
Did we say a time last time?
I thought we said noon.
Noon?
Right.
So we'll do like noon to 3:30-ish. We'll get lunch. We'll be down in the CPL, the community room. Does that work for everyone? I think that's different enough, but we'll feel like we're in a different place. Downstairs.
Or was it here?
Oh, we did it up here? What do you want? What do you guys want?
I think we did it downstairs last.
I thought we did downstairs. I remember eating lunch.
We've done it in both, but last year was downstairs.
So it's downstairs.
Yeah, let's just do downstairs.
Okay, that's fine.
So, yeah, we can pretend we're in a different place. And then we'll feel like we're taking a retreat. Financials. Okay. Staff retirement gifts approval. I didn't see anything in the packet about it. Do we have anything on that?
I don't believe you do, but we do need approval for the gifts that we give the retirees.
Okay. You need a max amount of what you can spend on it? Like, do you have a guess?
I don't even have a guess for you of what the total cost was. How about let's say
approve the amount.
Approve an amount
Yeah.
equal to the cost of the retirement apples per retirees.
Okay, you're gonna give them apples.
We are giving them
Okay,
retirement apples.
you're not getting them
We
brand
are
new
not
Porsche or
getting
anything like
anything
that.
exciting for people, but it is the retirement apples, and
Okay.
unfortunately, I do not know how much those cost.
All right, then we'll take a motion to.
Make a motion that we approve the amount needed to purchase retirement apples for the number of retirees that we will have.
I thank you for that.
Do you roughly remember how much it was? Like, how many retirees do we have this year?
Oh, that paper is on my desk. I would say 8.
8? Yeah, so like, they're not $1,000 apples.
No, I'm looking them up right
Oh,
now.
okay. So then just take a rough guess. How much could it
Can't
be?
be more than 500, right?
It's 1%, Michael. What could it be, $10?
It can't be more than $50.
Yeah, it can't be more than
Is this
75.
like a silver apple?
It's like a crystal.
Yeah.
Is it like a Simon Pierce kind of apple?
No, it's a granite red apple.
Okay. Oh, granite. Very nice.
Yeah, you shouldn't have thrown that Simon Pierce.
Don't throw Simon Pierce in.
I don't know.
Okay, let's shop these apple awards. Look at that. Here's the one we do. We'll put them at $35 each.
Okay.
So up to $500 would be great.
Okay.
Up to $500.
All right.
I amend my motion.
Okay. Who seconds that?
I'll second.
Hope seconds. Any discussion?
Dawn.
Oh, Dawn, I'm sorry. I just heard
my
it.
voice.
I heard it. Yep, not used to your voice yet. Any comments, questions on that? Any further discussion?
When is it?
Oh, yeah, when is
June 2nd, I believe.
Okay. We usually get a little invite in the mail.
I don't get it until the day of.
That she gets given the mail is going to go all the way down to Connecticut now.
Ridiculous.
We may have to start mailing things. I would love to ask the district as a whole, and I say this as a school board member who's gotten invites to things 3 days later.
Yeah.
Brewster's gotten invites to things a week later. Just try maybe a little earlier in general from things, because mail is a hit or miss these days. So.
Or just email.
Yeah.
Yeah, the email's probably
Yeah.
best. So it's on
Maybe
June
plus
3rd.
that.
I'm sorry, June 3rd.
June 3rd? Okay.
June 3rd at 3:30 at the Enfield Community Center.
Okay. June 3rd. All right. Cool. All right. Any further discussion on the apples? All right. All those in favor of the motion to approve up to $500 for purchasing a retirement gift apples for retirees signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All righty. I was sitting here going, why do we have people from IRS and the high school still here? It's because we have their student handbooks. Who would like to go first?
I'm gonna go first.
All right.
So I had multiple changes. Really it was related to clarifications or adding the policy. So student responsibility, it was a clarification if a student is an excused absence, giving them additional day to make up their work. I do think that, sometimes if a student's been out an extended period of time, it gets a little sticky, but making sure that a student, if they've been out with an excused absence, they get time. It was really to support the teachers with more guidance. Students may not leave during the school day. It continues in the handbook. Sometimes we have students that maybe have a gap in their day and they think they need to go on a dunks run. We are not an open campus, and we're working hard next year to close our gap in the schedule for what that looks like, and looking at study halls. But really, just in the handbook, we are not an open campus. You cannot come and go as you please, even if you are 18. No individuals. I tightened the dance policy. So if it's homecoming, it's 1 year out. If it's any other dances, you must be in high school. But this is a clarification of no individuals over the age of 21 or more than 2 years out of high school will be admitted to the prom. And then it continues on with stating, as it is in the handbook now, anyone that is out of high school does need to meet with me. So that is taking place right now. If a student is still in high school, the other high school usually signs off that a student and the parent that they're going to meet behavior expectations. But just really clarifying that it's very open-ended right now. So just tightening that a little bit. Really looking at collection of funds. This is, looking at notifying parents collecting money, and that's just from the policy, all negative balances need to be cleared out, and then continues on with so we have a number of negative lunch balances that we work throughout the year to try to collect on. Throughout the year, letters a lot. Using district policy, clarifying that to collect. We also work very closely with the social worker to support families, but sometimes things just don't come back. It gets expensive, whether it be library books, Chromebooks, calculators, and I just added a line, can be withheld, following policy. It doesn't mean we're going to withhold, but we need some clarification that we need our stuff back. because we do go through the list, but there's nothing to, and it gets expensive, you know, we're not getting Chromebooks back. The JJIB is just part of, you know, the district policy, I just added it. In the event of a school-sponsored field trip, making sure that students know if you have an assignment due that day, it's still due that day, that doesn't mean you get an extra day. Just, sometimes you just have to spell it out.
Sometimes you gotta spell that out, that's right.
And then we did not have a cell phone policy, the cell phone policy in our handbook. Yes, it is now. Just clarifying, you know, can't have cell phones in academic areas. The library is considered an academic area. We do have perks. I work sometimes with seniors when have certain projects due that sometimes we need to, or how do we support them to make sure they can still be, but right now I have a sub in the library until next year. So sort of supporting him and making sure this is a place of learning and we're making good use. So that is now in the handbook. And then I did add the behavior expectations, which is our MCSSB behavior expectation chart. I just put it in there. So really it's just, you know, clarification of points for students.
Cool. Questions for Tina on the changes?
Sound like good changes.
They do. I really want to thank you for additionally putting the thing in about 1 day additional for every day of an excused absence on makeup work. That is something I, as a parent, have had to battle with teachers about who say, no, you don't get any extra time.
I'm aware.
I know the policy.
Not you, but
I know, not me personally. Yeah.
No,
but yeah, so this is
it's
very, from a student perspective,
Yeah.
this is very, very empowering to see because they know this, and so it reassures them it's okay, like you get that extra time.
And, you know, we always have those situations where a student has an extended absence or something like that, and then, you know, we deal with incompletes. And I definitely, you know, as long as I'm working with families, I'm hearing from families, you know, I want them to be successful, so whatever they need, you know, we sometimes extend our incompletes longer than we should because we know students need it.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate all these clarifications, especially about the returning the materials and Chromebooks and holding on to your diploma otherwise. That is a big one.
It is something that they should all get used to because that's what colleges do.
Yeah. In your workplace, it's not like that.
So
I get to
it's
keep my laptop.
not it's not like an unproven sort of way to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
And that was in my lunch letters at this time of the year as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
I have a question about open campus. Do you guys get feedback about open campus? Like,
we're not an open campus.
No, I know you're not. But
you mean from
and I know
from
you never
outside,
have been.
like
So-
from people outside?
No, I
or
mean
from...
in terms of
coming and going.
no, I mean in terms of people wanting it or from the
Of course the
community.
kids would like it.
No, I know the kids would. Yes.
And
But
once
what-
so we're like, you take Concord High School. Concord High School can be an open campus because their stores are across the street.
Right.
Yeah.
For us, they have
It's
to
too
leave
far.
property,
Yeah.
go to, let's be honest, they're hitting Dunk's or Jake's or
Yep.
wherever, which is great to support local business, just
Yeah.
not during school hours.
Yep.
And then to make sure they're back in time for their next class. Parents choose to dismiss. And I just want people, like, I have spoken to parents after the fact of, your students still missed English class as a senior because they got caught up. So just relaying that information back. A lot of times parents don't know, like they dismiss them, but then they don't know that they didn't get back in time for English class. So once I communicate with parents, it's usually not an issue. You know, I think our food's good. You know, I want to get lunch.
No.
So, and really looking at the schedule of the day, supporting kids. If you come back from Hartford, then you have something to do. You're not just, you know, lingering. Because right now our UAs have fifth period off, which has been hard to pick up slack. So we're working on this.
The reason I'm asking is I know that other campuses do, and I mean, even as a senior privilege, one of the feedbacks I got from my son was that he felt that having it helped him navigate college a little better. You know, being able to, knowing how to, you know, get back, and he noticed a difference between, you know, having it and not having it. Kind of, so.
I respect that. Unless Amanda tells me I have to or you do,
No, I know.
I don't really want
Yeah,
to.
no, we're as a more rural.
By the time they
district.
walk all the way
Yeah.
down to their car and they get back all the way up the hill because they're not allowed to park
Exactly.
outside.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
It takes a bit.
Cool. All right. Any other questions for Tina on this? One thing I saw just flipping through, I just happened to see it said like all students will have 7 classes. Is that something that you're trying to get them to do to kind of fill those gaps? Where, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I know it's tough. You can't force them, but they, you know, policy is that they have 7 classes.
Yes, we want them to have a full schedule. We offer not only our core classes, we offer a really wide variety of UAs in other areas. It's challenging with privileges because you have to carry, you know, all the number of classes, and they want to come in late and they want to leave early, and you know, battling that. So it's in there. And unless we change something with our schedule, which we may come to at some point, that's what we'll stay there. That's what we want students to have, and that gives them one study hall.
Yep.
You know, and you know, I do have students that we know they're not morning people, and they choose their schedule based
That's
on
fine.
that.
That's fine.
You know, college and beyond might be harder, but we do recognize that, and you know, it's a privilege, so I can revoke that, and I do.
Good.
You have to have a C average to have junior or senior privileges.
Oh, yeah.
In every class, you have to have a C average or greater.
Good. All right. Any other questions for Tina? Sure. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
I know, I'm out of line. Has a date been set yet for next year's career day?
No, that's the Future Opportunities Fair.
Yes.
It'll be in the fall again. Bridget and I have already been in communication.
Okay.
That was just an exceptional event. So it will be in the fall again.
Okay.
Planning should start taking place soon. Right now, I'm just eyeball deep and everything else. But yes, so Bridget and I have already been in communication as well as with a wellness fair.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Tina. All right. You just want to just approve these all together in one lump sum?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Ryan, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. All right. So, with it being my first year, not too many changes here. Yeah, just a few like little things like changing the logo, updating our logo on the cover page, updating the date for the principal letter, and also our staffing and things like that. The one significant change that we did decide to do is change our daily schedule. So our blocks went from 50-minute periods to 55. Some of our teachers expressed that by the time the students transition and get into the room, they're seeing that they don't have as much time as they would like to get through their instruction. So we tried to hear from our staff and try and kind of adjust the length of that time. Except for one period, which is our 8th period, which is MTSS. So we're doing MTSS and 8th period across the school, hoping that we'll have everybody there for resources and to provide the best individual support for our students as possible if it's all happening at that same time. And the duration of that period went from 40 minutes right now, so it goes just a little bit to 38 for next year. And then another area where we're hearing some concerns from our students, and I kind of noticed as well, is 7th and 8th grade recess. In the wintertime especially, it's hard to get them motivated to go outside or to find things to do out there. So we're going to try something called an activity period, where we're going to utilize our unified arts teachers, and they're going to take classes and do different activities with them in the building or outside. So kind of providing more organization and structure to the recess for that time, so it's not so much them finding other things to do if they're bored. So we're going to have more supervision and just more organization during that time period, which we're excited to try out. And then also to free up, because our unified arts teachers won't have that lunch duty, our 7th and 8th grade teachers are going to start to eat lunch with their students during that time as well. Which I think will be really good for them to continue building relationships with them and just seeing them in a different light, just not in the classrooms. And then the final change that we made, and we kind of tried it this year, and I think I did it by accident one time because our first indoor recess, there was football gear everywhere, so I was like, hey, let's send 7th and 8th grade to their home rooms instead of being in the gym. And it's worked out a little bit better, because I've heard that sometimes when 7th grade would be in and 8th grade eating during indoor recess, it could get kind of loud in the gym. So we've tried that, and I think it's gone quite well. So 7th and 8th grade will just do what 5th and 6th grade do, just go to their classrooms during indoor recess. But yeah, we're excited to kind of experiment with that activity period and hopefully make it a little bit better for the 7th and 8th graders during that time.
Yeah, definitely. I like looking at this activity. It's kind of in 7th and 8th grade, you're kind of weaning them off recess a little bit because when they get here, they don't get recess.
Exactly.
So like, it's a big culture shock for some 9th graders, you know? So I think this is a really good way to kind of like taper that off and give them different creative outlets. That's cool. Any questions for Ryan?
Will the activity period be something that potentially could be a place where you have club meetings, knowing that there are some kids that might want to participate in things but have transportation issues before or after school? And
yeah, I think definitely could be an opportunity for that, or an opportunity to kind of have the students like have a say in maybe some of the like projects or things that they want to pursue. I think it'll be kind of a learning as we go and try some different things to see what works best. But yeah, that definitely could provide an opportunity for some that might not be able to have that after school.
For real, yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. Especially, I think we found that middle schoolers especially have lacked the ride after school. If they're not doing a sport that they can stay till 5:30, they lack a ride for that 3 to 4 club that meets. And so it's tough because we have kids that want to do stuff, but they just can't. So. All right. Any other questions for Ryan? Any comments? Anything else? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve these handbooks.
Do you want to do the athletic one?
Oh, yeah. Let's go to the athletic ones. It just says student handbooks in here, so I forgot we had athletic.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, for athletic, I just got reports with no changes or anything from the current one moving forward.
Just updates in
Yep,
the
just
year.
updates in the years and things like that, but nothing policy-wise.
If a person had to change. Okay, cool. And then, we didn't have the high school athletic one
I
yet.
have that.
You do? Oh, I didn't have it electronically, that's not. Yeah.
Do you have copies of it, Steve?
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I sent that to Tina and asked her if she would check it and then send it to Martha. Bus thrown, sorry. I can go make copies, but I do not have them in the.
No, if you want to highlight
fine, just highlight what you changed.
highlight the changes.
It's only a couple. One is dealing with the eligibility to participate in the daily attendance. It currently says something along the lines of you must be in all of your classes, and then it gives a couple of exceptions. And then nowhere does it actually state, but it's something that we've been doing since I've been here a good, 16, 18 years, is that if they're out for, in the morning, if they're sick and then they feel better and they come in, or if they're out for a doctor's appointment in the morning, we've always said, well, you need to at least be here for half a day. You can't show up, at 2:30 and then go to a game. So we added that into that policy where it actually states that you must be here for at least half a day, even if you are out sick in the morning or things of that nature. So that was actually in 2 different spots in the handbook, so I updated that in both places. And then the other thing that I'd like to add, if possible, and this is actually something that I took from the CARES, a conversation I had with the Kearsarge AD, who he does this, and I thought it was outstanding. Especially in the fall, we have issues where sometimes kids won't show up to participate on a team until once school has started, or they're on vacation and they don't even come to school until later. And then there's that idea of we obviously want them to be able to join the team, but is it fair to the kids that's been working out for the last 2 weeks and that sort of thing? So what we'd like to put in is that they just need to be at practice equal to the number of days that they've missed before they can participate in a game. So if they're a week late to come into the team, then they have to make sure that they're here for a week of practices before they can then participate in a game. If they're late for 4 weeks, you could still play, but you're going to have to be here for 4 weeks before you can participate in a game. So it kind of, takes away that idea of, I know there's a few kids that just, they're not ready to finish their summer. I don't want to go to practice.
Yeah.
And then it's okay, I'll just show up and they get to play. So it kind of puts something in policy where coaches don't have to have that argument, where they don't have to make those decisions on their own. There's sort of a policy set where if you're out for 3 days at the beginning, you miss 3 days. You have to be at practice for 3 days before you can then play again. So at the beginning, it's usually not a big deal. If you miss a week, you're probably going to be okay because you'll be at a week before our first game actually even starts. But if you get past a week, that's when it starts to you miss a game or two.
Well, that's important to your teammates too, because, you know, it reflects on you as a teammate. That you're just gonna blow off the first practice, but, you know, EC pros, they don't skip spring training, like, they still go to spring training and get back, get ready. So this is good for their health too, you know.
And then at the same time, it doesn't take away, like, there is still that time when a student will be on a vacation with their family. And so they can at least still come back, they put in there a couple of days, and then they're good to play. So it's not like there's you know, well, I think way back in the day, I don't know how far back I was, I know at least when I was a student, if you didn't show up to tryouts, you didn't play.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's what I was going to ask that.
Plain and
Because,
simple.
you know, there's definitely.
That is unfortunately not the world we live in anymore. I will tell you.
I know.
And it's sad. Again,
I understand from feedback that is in fact the case, but.
So I think this is a halfway kind of between the
Yeah.
you just don't play and the you get away with it.
Yeah.
It gives them, they at least have to be here before they can start playing.
Some accountability.
Tryouts happen, I'm really out of the loop. Tryouts happen before school even starts.
For fall sports it does, yes.
Yeah.
So.
Because of the short fall time that we have and
Right.
when it's getting dark and all that fun stuff, we usually start about 2 weeks before school starts with practices.
But it could be up to 4 weeks?
Well, the state says when you can.
It's required.
No, I'm
it's
saying
statewide.
there might be a kid that decides not just that they're out, but okay, school started and I still haven't gone to practice and I'm here at school for a couple of weeks and then my friends talked me into it and so I want to play. So that's where the possibility of they've missed 4 weeks comes into.
Yeah, so it's 2 weeks max before school.
Before school starts, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's state run. That's not by the.
That's NHIA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They set all of our dates.
Is that like the official though? Because like I know football.
So
They have a different day.
we got special approval for that from NHIA. We had to sign off for that to happen now.
And we can work out all summer with the kids,
Right.
like we run a summer
But the
soccer
official is 2
program,
weeks before
but the
school.
actual start of
Football gets a couple
And
of
if a
days.
kid doesn't go to the summer workouts, it doesn't count against them in any way, shape, or form, other than they just didn't get the time to try to get better.
Yeah.
But once the actual official start date hits, that's when they need to.
Which hits when school is in session.
No, that
No,
starts
it's
2 weeks
It's
before.
about 2 weeks before.
It's
It's
about
about
2
2 weeks before.
Okay.
So it's usually in
But
the
it's usually 2 weeks before
early
in most
teens.
sports, right? Because
Yes.
like baseball will start working out in the gym.
It is. It just happens to fall before we come back,
Right.
and so there's that expectation that, you know, parents are driving their kids to practices, and, you know, it's hard sometimes in the summertime, people have vacations planned, so we're just trying to make sure we support our student athletes by giving them that opportunity to still participate, but not just walk on the field the first game and start, so that they're in shape and, you know, ready to go.
And I think that and I know with the info sessions that come beforehand, well in advance of the summer and plan making and all of that stuff, you know, if we're highlighting this potential, you know, this new addition to the handbook, you know, being clear that walking on doesn't mean you walk onto a starting varsity, you know, you don't expect to walk onto a starting varsity slot after just ho-humming your way, because that I think is an equity issue that we would hear a lot about, and from current families and from community members, and I don't think we want to step in that. So just managing the expectation that if you are a family or if you are a student athlete that is utilizing that aspect of or that flexibility that we're trying to build into you know, people being able to participate in things, that it's not seen as an open invitation to join us when you feel like it and you're gonna get everything that you think you get.
Right, you skip all the hot summer workouts and then
Yeah, then you waltz onto the team.
Because really, who wants to be running around when it's
Right.
80 in gear, 85, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, we understand that. We want to make sure that we're supporting as many athletes as we can now.
Any other changes, Steve?
Just updating, like
Names.
adding the equestrian team to the list of sports that we.
By the way,
clubs
I
that
had
we
no
offer.
idea it'd be that good.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate.
We did great.
No pun intended.
I see what you did there.
I did. All right. Any further discussion on any of the handbooks, athletic or otherwise? All right. do we have a motion on the floor? No, we do not.
I'll make a motion that we approve the student handbooks and athletic handbooks from IRS and the high school as presented.
Okay. Do it a second.
I'll second.
All right, Don seconds. Any further discussion? All right, thank you for all those changes. Thanks for being concise and helping us read through that. It's very, very appreciated. Look forward to it. So, all right, all those in favor of approving student handbooks and athletic handbooks for IRS and the high school, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, abstentions. All right. Thank you so much. I know it's been late, but. All right, next on our agenda, Jack and Dorothy Bird Foundation grant for IRS Destination Imagination for $15,000. This helps with their trip to Kansas City, which, as one of my kids is going, I found out that they have fundraised completely and will be able to take care of the whole thing. So the Bird Foundation and other donors that they were able to get around the community and the fundraiser they have here, so they're good to go.
I'll make a motion that we accept the $15,000 donation from the Jack and Dorothy Byrne Foundation for the purpose of Destination Imagination.
Okay, and second?
Second.
All right, Don, second. Any further discussion on that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstention. All right, that's good to go. Go have fun. And they are going next week to Kansas City, so very excited. Next up, revised school calendar. Amanda, what did you change on it?
So here was the problem that we ran into. We actually had miscounted the days in February. We had it listed as 16 days. It was really only 15 days, so students were only in session for 179. And we needed them to be at 80. So we have a couple of suggestions. We could cut Christmas break short and make kids come back on a Friday or go on a Monday. The suggestion that graduation is on the 13th. We could make kids come back on the 16th for a day. The other suggestion that you see in the templated calendar before you is adding school on the 30th of August. That is the day that Hartford CTC is in session. It's not personally my favorite thing to do. I just don't see a good way out of it this year.
Yeah.
And it does give our Hartford kids one more day of the CTC program. Typically, we've done a 3-day week, a 4-day week, and then a 5-day week, which is really nice for our younger students to help them build into school. But it's just unfortunate I didn't catch that earlier because we would have done something else. So the calendar that you have as revised here does have the 30th, that Friday, in. Had it back, but if the board thought maybe it would be better to go until June 16th, I can't imagine taking a day off a 2-week Christmas break or holiday
Yeah, it's
break.
not like the break ended on a Wednesday and they were coming back on a Thursday. We
Yeah.
could squeeze, because if I said come back on the 3rd, I'd want them to come back on the 2nd as well.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, how many snow days did we have this year?
One snow day and remote. So I have an agreement with the Teachers Association that I call 3 traditional snow days unless we rework it. So 3 traditional snow days and then we move to remote learning. So this year we had the 1 snow day early on and then the other potential snow day was so late the teachers were like, people have already made plans, kids are going to camp, let's have it be a remote day.
Was this in April?
Remote day. Yeah.
So if we moved it to the 16th in June, there's a probability that they'd be going the 16th anyway, and that would just roll to the 17th,
Right.
So that feels like the least barbaric thing to do.
Yeah.
Making them come back on a Friday or cutting their Christmas break short.
Because then you could even have, I hate the idea of graduation and then having more school. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because
Well, we've done that before because
I know.
up to 5 days.
I think now that seniors can graduate 5 days.
No, I know it's been done. I just said it didn't make any sense to me. There's a difference. It doesn't make any sense to me why you would have students still come here after graduation. Graduation to me is the end of the year. So I don't understand that, but I doubt how many. I wonder if we have no
snow day, like, but you're thinking we'll probably have at least 1 or 2 snow days.
Right, so, and don't forget, the 19th is Juneteenth,
Yep.
and that would be a holiday for us, so right now, if I called 3 snow days, that would give us 16, 17, and 18, and then kids could be gone on the 19th.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets a little wonky if I call
Yeah.
3 snow days, and it's 17, 18, and 20. I mean, it's not great. I don't love any.
Have we looked at all, we looked at all about, not obviously for this calendar, but switching to hours?
That would involve a renegotiation with the teachers.
Okay, then never mind. Maybe next time.
Contract, because they're bound by days.
Oh, that's right, maybe next time.
I mean, IRS has to have their 8th grade celebration, and it can't be on the last day of school because that's high school graduation. So they would either have to have it before the last day of school,
Yeah, either the 12th.
or
Which is what they're doing this year, so they're going back to a Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening celebration,
Okay.
which is what they have done previously
Good.
when it hasn't worked out.
Okay. So,
I mean, the nice thing about August 30th is that it's one that the Career Center
Yeah.
kids, it would put them in a pickle as far as having to either miss something in the first week of their Career Center programming, or having an extra.
They go back on the 28th on this calendar?
27th. Yeah, originally we had them going back the 27th, 28th, and 29th, and then off on the 30th, to give a 4-day weekend, so.
Right.
Well, I mean, how many snow days do you want to gamble on? That's pretty much what it comes
Maybe
down
I
to.
could gamble on 2 snow days,
Right.
and, that would put us out on the 16th, a couple snow days. We're at least gonna have a couple.
Yeah. All right, what's people's prerogatives?
I mean, I feel like, let's be honest, at least that when you get that close to the end of the year, it's like, it's like they're here just to say goodbye to our friends from the summer, and I don't know. That would be my preference, just because they kind of are already like checked out. Like, I don't know.
Well, I doubt if we had it on the 16th, I doubt you'd have many people even showing up.
On like
Yeah.
after, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know.
Well, my concern is that the last week of school, last 2 week of school is already very much like that. And so like adding more days like that, like doesn't make me feel great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm partial to keep it on the 30th of August, like keep that day because the kids from Hartford are able to do stuff that day. I know it's not ideal for our youngest kids, but I don't know.
And families that are employed outside of the school district are probably working that day anyway. If they're not taking an extra long weekend.
If it's less helpful, Hartford also goes to school, their last day right now is the 16th.
Oh. Okay.
So.
Oh, you just made it even worse.
I know.
Right.
It's less helpful.
Help at all? No, not at all. What's your druthers, Amanda? You gave us one with August 30th. Is that your top choice?
It's really not. I really struggled with this. If I had a strong preference, I would have been like, here's your calendar, we're all set,
Right.
move on.
Right.
There's just no good, I like a 3, 4, 5 week for our kids. I don't like going on a Monday.
Yeah.
I don't like any of the options. I just don't.
Yeah, it's a bad it's a bad alignment. Like Christmas fall and New Year's fall on the worst days of this calendar. On top of it, falling on a Wednesday because it ruins both of those weeks. It takes up both those weeks. So.
I mean, I could.
I go with the snow day possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a strong chance I call at least one snow day. Right?
Yeah. So they'll go 16, 17.
Yeah, I mean, probability speaking.
The probability, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can remember the last year we had no snow days.
Now, I'm good for calling at least one.
We'll call at least
Like
one.
years.
Because I think people
At
get
least one every year.
they start getting antsy by March.
Yeah. So we used to have a lot more. We used to have a lot more snow when we were.
Yeah, not ice days, right?
No. More
Yeah,
rain
so
than
I'm fine with betting on at least one snow day.
Okay.
And then.
Is it possible to swap out one of the early release dates and use an early release on whatever the new one that we add, either the 30th of August or the 16th of June? I mean, the last day of school is usually early release anyway.
Right.
Oh, but all the early release days are tied to PD, right? Yeah, so that would not, they probably would not want to have one on particular weekends. You think no, it's just for Paramount.
I mean,
on the 30th to get their classrooms.
There's nothing bad about, at the end of the year, having a group together and reflection. I mean, that's not a terrible.
Oh, PD.
Yeah.
Yeah, teachers are bound by the contract to come one day after students.
Right.
So I would have to negotiate, like if we looked at taking away March 21st, which is a teacher workshop day, you know, and adding kids that day and then putting the extra workshop day at the end of the year, I'd have to negotiate that.
Yeah,
so, I think probably if we stick with a 3, 4, 5 week at the beginning and then go to the 16th, I think that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Because I know you're gonna call at least one snow day, like that's inevitable.
I'll do my
We'll have
best.
one snow day. I think people will like it. Like I said, if we don't get one by like town meeting day, people get really antsy. They're like, "What's wrong?"
Oh.
Yeah, so
And who knows, it might happen in April again.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. All right. So right now, we are back off on the August 30th.
Yep.
That is a day off, and then June 16th as a day on. Okay. Have fun, kids. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve that then.
Make a motion that we approve the revised 2024-2025 school calendar as discussed, adding that June 16th for the 180th day.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, abstentions. All right, that's all set. Field trip approval for the FBLA going to Boston.
Was there anything in our packet about this?
There was not. I have it here from Tina now. So this is Lori Stammer's FBLA group. They are going to Faneuil Hall Marketplace in Boston. They will be leaving 7:05 through the Lebanon Dartmouth coach and returning at 3:45 via the Dartmouth coach. Students are doing a survey of shops, visitors to the shops, to compare the Lebanon Market Day and determine if the shops in Boston would be a good fit for Lebanon. This is part 1 of the project.
Okay, when are they going?
They would like to go 5:30.
Okay, so like in a week and a half. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Any questions for me?
is this for FBLA or is it business class?
There are 5 students going, so I believe it is just FBLA.
Yeah.
And so they've raised the funds for that through their activities.
Yes.
Wonderful.
What is FBLA?
Future Business Leaders of America.
That is correct.
So, and Sophia does that, I think. If I'm not mistaken. That's one of many things that she's involved in. But yeah, no, that's really good. I'm glad, good for them to do that. So.
What bus are they leaving on? What time in the
Coach.
morning?
7:05 from the Lebanon Dartmouth coach.
Right, but then
station.
they're getting back on the one at 3?
They will return at 3:45.
So they're gonna leave Boston at like 1:30? I don't know.
That's a quick trip.
It's a quick trip.
Yeah?
They don't want to take the 3 o'clock bus?
Don't wanna take a later bus? Whatever.
Okay.
That's what they want to do for their trip. That's how they want to spend their money.
All right. So we approve the FBLA, it says FBLA right on there. FBLA Boston field trip as discussed.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving the FBLA Boston field trip as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. So we got some policies. Thank you, Martha, for changing the way that you type this. It makes our lives so much easier. I really appreciate this. So yeah, kind of. I mean, so we'll start with the second readings. If you want to do those.
All right, yeah.
3 second readings, I see.
Yep. Make a motion that we approve for second reading the following policies. Policy AA, school district legal status. Policy AB, the people in their school district. And policy JIB, student involvement in decision making.
All right. And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
So this is for second reading. We did not change anything since the first reading that we did last time. Any further comments, questions, concerns on policy AA, policy AB, and policy JIB?
For policy AA, you all had asked for us to check with the NHSBA about the SB2 vote. And that is included. I believe I sent that email around. So this does cover that. And we did add municipal in front of corporations.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Any further comments, questions on those three policies? All right, all those in favor of second reading and adoption of policy AA, policy AB, and policy JIB, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. Do you want to do the rescinding ones? Okay.
Motion that we rescind the following policies. Policy AAA, powers of school districts. Policy ABC, student involvement in decision making. And policy, I think that's the
Those
only
two.
one for right now, right?
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other two will rescind.
Yeah,
All
other
right.
ones.
All right, second on that?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of rescinding those policies, AAA and ABC, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, abstentions. I am going to ask that we table policy IJL, library meeting materials, because I would like to be able to have a longer discussion about it. I think, because it is 8 o'clock already. So if people are good with that, we have a meeting maybe that's a little lighter in subject matter. We don't have an hour-long Galapagos presentation. I think that's just something that's very important. I think everybody would appreciate just a little more time to dig through. If we're going to rescind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different policies around the library and replace it with one, I would like some more time.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. If everyone's good with that, we'll table that one. However, we can go jump to the next one, IHBBA, limited English.
I'm gonna batch some of these up. So,
Sure.
make sure we approve for first reading, policy IHBBA, limited English proficiency instruction, policy IGD, curriculum adoption, policy IKAA, interdisciplinary credit, policy IKFB, academic credit for sports participation, policy GDO, evaluation of support staff, and policy ACD, commitment to religious neutrality.
Okay. We have a second on those.
Second.
All right. So we'll start with IHBBA, limited English proficiency. There we go. So this is one that we probably have to have by federal statute. So we do have something like this on the books, but we have not reviewed it in over 20 years. So questions on anything in there?
Do you have any sticky notes on that
Hold
one?
on.
I know, there's quite the
Hold
stack.
You got some notes on that one?
There's quite the stacks.
Yeah, this is, how often do we get a kid with limited English proficiency?
So your old policy is from '03, and this had been revised in '08. This is required by law.
Yep.
It was required by law. It is no longer required by law. But it is valuable to have. We do have a handful, 8 or 10 students that do take part in our ESOL program. So it is good. We updated it to look more like the School Board Association's policy. There were not major changes done. It does, one of the changes that between ours and theirs really was looking at communication with parents.
Good.
So you'll notice there are a couple things in there that have to deal with communication with parents.
Is it safe to say that probably most of the time we get them at much younger grades at the elementary level?
Not always.
Not
It
always,
depends on, just what the
Circumstances.
families move.
Oh, that's
So,
curious.
Yeah, not always.
No,
Not always.
just curious. All right.
And are there state programs that will allow for translation during conversations with parents or stuff like
Yes,
that that we can
absolutely.
take advantage of?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have provided translators if needed.
Awesome. Any other questions on that one? All right, next one's gonna be IGD, curriculum adoption, and this probably replaces our textbook selection and adoption one that we had in here from, it's 30 years old.
Yes. So IIAA, there is no NHSBA policy that goes with that, but it is covered in IGA, which is our other policy.
All right, good deal. Curriculum adoption, pretty standard. We do not have this on file, but thank you for reviewing that IEIC. Did you guys have anything that you want to say about any of these? Anything come up in conversation at EIC? About any of these?
I think they went over the library one
Good.
in EIC.
Okay.
And I believe that was sort of a request that we move to that one.
Okay.
And it basically, the big switch was to, that there's a consultation between, with the administration, that it happens.
Yeah.
And that's the most, that was the biggest change.
Oh, that's good. All right.
And then the old, whatever it said before, the foundations from it. But anyway, so yeah, that was a big change there. But some of these I haven't seen either, so.
So, okay, I didn't know how many of these went. Okay, all right, next one we have here is IKAA, interdisciplinary credit. So interdisciplinary credit is where they can earn course credit in one content area for graduation and then apply said credit in a different content area through the awarding of interdisciplinary credits. So they can take one class and get two different credits for it, right? Is that typically like an independent study?
Could be, or it could be some of the programs that we have at Hartford CTC program.
That's right. That's right.
That's where it's really valuable to a lot of our kids.
Cool. And then this also gives teachers here the freedom and creativity to be like, I want to design a class that is interdisciplinary. They could do that too. All right, any questions on that one? IKFB, academics credit for sports participation.
So this one you have because Tina requested, they're seeing a need for kids to take a PE class rather than just play 2 sports and receive the credit for that. So they're not saying take away the sports participation credit, they're saying cut it in half so that the students could play 2 sports and then get a half a credit, but they would also need to take a credit of PE.
And I meant to do this before tonight and I ran out of time. Did we make sure that this policy has the same language that's in the athletic handbook?
I hope so.
Okay. Because that was the only change.
Steve and Tina were the ones that wanted it. They better make sure that they can change theirs.
I think this is more fair. I think because some kids might just do one sport and then they don't ever have to take a PE class here, right? Like if they just took did one sport, they would never have to take. No, but if you just played one sport, you get a half a credit for that year, right? You have to take 2 sports now.
Yeah.
So this is no different.
2 sports, 1 credit. Now it's 2 sports.
Oh, 2 sports, half a credit. I got you changed.
Yeah,
okay, I thought it was 1 sport half credit, and you're changing it to 2 sports half credit. I got it now. All right.
So, the other thing, if I remember right from what Tina said, was that the other reason for doing this is that there are minimum ed requirements for PE now that they want to make sure that so they literally need to show up to some PE class so they can get whatever it is that they're required to have.
Yeah. This policy had gotten a little bit loose.
Yeah.
Managers were getting a credit. Can't do that.
Well, and I think they were having a little bit of trouble just through my experience with kids that would play the sport, but then it's kind of not really benefiting the team because they're not really trying or they're just there to, they're kind of, I'll be the bat boy, it wasn't really giving them that experience.
Using your physical,
They wouldn't.
Right,
I would love to see that this expands the participation in PE classes, because that gives the PE teacher a reason to be here, first of all. But then also they can learn different things. Like if you're just gonna only play baseball and basketball, you're only gonna learn baseball and
And
basketball.
that was the reason for the concern, that
Yeah.
they're not, there's certain things they actually have to go, you
Yeah.
know.
And I mean, I had to take PE classes in high school, and like, that's how I learned lifetime sports, and that's how I know how to drive a golf ball, that's how I know how to play badminton, you know, basic things like that, you know,
Are we still teaching square dancing?
no, I don't think we are, I don't think we are
That was
anymore.
back in the day, John.
That's
Yeah.
it, we just all dated ourselves that way.
That's pretty cool.
And the only
Like
other
that.
thing is, in addition to making sure that it is in line with our language in the athletic handbook, is a timeline for when you have to apply for the credit, so that you don't get to senior year, realize that you are shy, and then you're trying to put in for all of the different years. I believe in the athletic handbook, it does say that you have to do it within a certain time, but I also remember from past years that in some cases, the athletic credits were used to help get students over the edge, and I'm hoping that we are not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
It's on top of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Gaps.
yeah, they should have to do it within a certain number of days, or certain weeks after the season, or, you know, within that school year.
Yeah.
Like, they should have to request a credit within that school year. So, that would make sense. All right, anything else on that? All right, and then GDO, evaluation of support staff.
This is a policy that we do not have. We have evaluation of teachers, of the superintendent, of the business administrator. We have all of that, but not a policy surrounding evaluation of support staff. So this is modeled after the New Hampshire School Boards Association policy. And it just basically says, we will evaluate you, but you can look at your collective bargaining agreement for the specifics.
Okay. All right, and then the last, any questions on that one? That's pretty straightforward. And then the last one is commitment to religious neutrality. This is just a really good one to have on hand. Probably. Is this
We do
required?
not currently have this one. It is an optional policy. So we have
this other one that's in there.
We do have another one that's in there, and that one is IND, Freedom of Assembly and Religion Policy, and that's from 95.
I think this new one does a better job of talking to,
Yeah.
speaking to everything without getting too specific.
Correct.
Open yourself up. It's been much better vetted. How about that?
Yes, that would be correct, yep.
Can we rescind these policies without adopting ACD though? Is
No,
that-
we'll rescind these next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
All right.
wait until those, so. All right, so right now we have, anything else on any of those first readings? IHBBA, limited English, IGD, curriculum adoption, IKAA, interdisciplinary credit, IKFB, academic credit for sports, GDO, evaluation of sports staff, and ACD, commitment to religious neutrality. Any questions on those? All right, all those in favor of first reading of those policies signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right, so next time we'll bring back the one with library materials, and we'll have some rescindants for these guys here.
Actually, Tim, the FAF, FAG, and
Oh,
FC,
we can just get rid of those.
We could rescind those because they are covered in policy FA. We did discuss those at
Oh,
length.
wonderful.
Yeah,
And kind
that's
of-
what I was like, I couldn't remember, we already did that one.
Okay.
Right, and made sure that these were in there.
There were two others that looked like they
Oh,
didn't
up here?
necessarily, up here, that looked like they weren't tied to adopting new policies, and that's ADA and AFCA towards the top, so I
Yeah,
can back
throw
all
those
those.
in, yeah.
Okay.
Make motion that we rescind the following policies. Policy ADA, programming for student enrichment and development of special talents. Policy AFCA, evaluation of directors and coordinators. Policy FAF, facilities development, instructional need projection. Policy FAG, facilities development, community use needs projection. Policy FC, facilities development capitalization program.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. All right, all those in favor of rescinding those policies as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All righty. Since today's 11 and we still have a giant stack of non-public,
We have agenda items for next meetings, committee reports, other policies, CES, EVS student handbooks, board retreat topics. So if you think of anything for the board retreat you want to talk about, bring us in. Any NHSBA resolutions we want to do, and the PD newsletter. All right, public comment. Anything for the closing?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
Because we're with my pet peeve tonight.
Yeah.
We build a calendar so we can meet the minimum, because we need to meet the minimum, as opposed to our job is education. And meeting the minimum, as far as I'm concerned, is about as low as you can get, because it's meeting the minimum. Just my pet peeve I've had for 12 years, and, you know, at the point of negotiations with teachers, maybe we should add a couple of days, because then we're not meeting the minimum, we're trying to find a way to meet the minimum, counting snow days as to whether we might have them or not. That's all I've got.
No, that's good, thank you. All right, personnel resignations and nominations, we have a green sheet here.
We do.
So entertain a motion on accepting those.
I think motion to accept the resignations as presented.
Okay, and a second over there. All right, all those in favor of accepting the resignations as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, abstentions, all right. Non-public, looks like we have it for items of B and K, so tuition request and hiring, and is that it?
That's it.
All right, and I'll entertain a motion for non-public.
Make motion to go into non-public.
All right, there's a second. All right. All right, Danielle?
Yes.
Tim, yes. Hope?
Yes.
Dawn? Yes. All right, we are in
Thanks, Dan.
non-public.
Thanks, Dan.
Good night, everybody.